like to pick up where we left off a couple weeks ago, and this is Mars Hill. It's called, it's the title of this. We're going to be doing it off and on, but what happened to civility and why can't we be civil or have civil conversations? Tonight, we're going to cover just a part of civility. We're not going to get into political conversations tonight. But let me just get right into this. We're going to go right to the main verse. Our main text is Philippians chapter 2. Philippians chapter 2, verse 1 through 5. I shared this story a long time ago, a number of times, when I was working at a rental-car agency. Years ago, I was a rental-car agent, and we were working from a hotel. And I still remember the lady who was in charge of me. Her name was Rhonda, and I was very young. She was the boss, and I really didn't care for how she treated me, truthfully. But, you know, I was saved, she was unsaved, and part of my job being a rental agent is I had to wash the cars, rent the cars, pick people up at the airport. I had to do it all. You're like one and all. You did everything. And so when sometimes she asked me to clean the cars, she wouldn't ask me sometimes. She would simply throw me the key. You know, and like sometimes I wanted to take that key and just... I wanted just to say I love you. You know, no, I mean nothing bad. Just love you back, Rhonda. Just, I'm just being honest. And you know, I had never cussed at her, nothing like that. But I didn't like how she treated me. And sometimes she'd just do this, and I'd run and get the key, and I just like, and she's the boss, and I really didn't like it at all. And you don't realize the power of being uncivil or incivil. Those are actually two words, mean the same thing basically. The power of being uncivil, how it affects the workplace, how it affects your mind, how it affects your brain. I didn't know it at the time, but I just knew I didn't like the feeling. But anyway, so we're working there one day, and it was Phoenix is hot, but I like the heat, sweat, wash the cars. Sometimes I'll be full of sweat, washing the cars, readying the cars, and just working. And she'd be behind the counter, and she'd just be throwing the keys to me, and just like sometimes like, oh, Jesus, help me. You ever have those, oh, Jesus moment, help me? I had a lot of them there, but honestly, in the bigger picture, it's probably good for me, right? That's how we grow, right? Well, then let her do it to you. But anyway, so I was there doing this stuff, and it actually paid off in the end, because it always does. Even though our society makes it seem like the rude wins, the vulgar wins, the inconsiderate win, that's not true. The bigger picture, statistically, the nice guy actually does win. I'll cover that some other time. But so anyway, get back to our story. I'm there, and I'm just working, doing what I'm supposed to do. And one of our main clients that we rent for, every year we rent certain people. These guys are flying from all over. A guy had flown in, he was one of our best clients. Unfortunately, he got left at the airport. And he was like one of the main guys. And so no one picked him up. Someone else was supposed to pick him up. We had a runner go to the airport. He didn't pick him up. No one picked him up. And so she's there in the office, in the foyer of the hotel, and she's just going crazy. She said, so-and-so didn't pick him up. She said, I'm not going to go pick him up. He's going to cuss us out. He's already mad. He's already called in. He's cussing. He's mad. He's angry. So-and-so. He's very important, and he's just been left there for an hour or something like that. And so I walk in, and she tells me everything, and I said, don't worry about him. She goes, what do you mean don't worry? I said, just got it. Don't worry about it. Just go pick him up. She goes, I ain't going to pick him up. I said, just go pick him up and ring him. I'll take care of him. And she goes, okay. When he comes in, he's on you. I said, that's no problem. So she picks him up, and he comes storming in. He sits down in front of me. And usually I didn't do this part. I did every now and then, but mainly Rhonda did this part. So I'm there, right when he comes and sits down, I act like the phone rang. I picked up the phone, and I said, I was talking to someone, not invisible, the person wasn't even there. I said, hello, yes. I said, no, I know you're at the airport, sir, yes. I think the guy's name is, I'm going to give an example. I forgot the guy's name. This is say Mr. Johnson. I said, hold on. I said, sir, Mr. Johnson is at the airport. We're going to be picking him up. He's the most important person there is. No, I can't get you right now. We got to take care of him. He's very important. He's number one. He's their number one customer. No, we're not. I can't go now. I take care. When I'm all done with him, then I can take care of you. But we can't. We got to take care of him. He's very, very important. He's a very, very important person. I'm sorry, sir. I looked up and I go, I'm sorry. He goes, oh, don't worry about nothing. Just don't worry about nothing, man. He said, hey, it's all good, man. And now he's calm. He's not cussing no one out. You know why? Because I respected them. Everyone wants respect. More than encouragement, people want respect. And we said civility is showing respect to people, but constantly. In other words, making it a point to consistently try to respect someone. Regardless if they agree with you or disagree with you, regardless of their persuasion, doesn't matter. Showing some respect is being civil. I showed this man respect and it changed everything. Every one of us want to be shown respect. Would you all agree? Okay, now go back to our story here in Philippians chapter 2. I want to just cover this one part before we move on from where we went from last week, because I think it's very important. It says here, complete my joy, thinking the same way, having the same love, being united, agreeing with each other. Don't do anything from selfish purposes. With humility, think of others better than yourself. Paul writes, and remember, he's writing to the church, and he's asking them to fulfill his joy. And the word that he uses there is it's like filling up a cup. In other words, he's saying, you guys really want to make me happy? Like a parent telling kids that are fighting. You want to make me happy? Yeah, Dad. What do you mean to do? Quit fighting. You make me really happy if you quit fighting. Paul says, you guys really want to make me happy? Here's what I want you guys to do. And he lays out that verse I just read to you. Another version says it like this. King James Version says, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, each esteem the other better than himself. The New American Bible, a Standard Bible, said, do nothing from selfish or empty conceit, but with humility of mind, regard one another as more important than yourself. The Good News Translation says, don't do anything from selfish ambition or from a cheap desire to boast, but be humble towards one another, always considering others better than yourself. The NIT version says, instead of being motivated by selfish ambition or vanity, each of you should be in humility, be moved to treat one another as more important than yourself. So here's one quick question. Why is this so hard? Why is it so hard to do what I just read? Why is it so hard to be motivated, to be this person that God's asking us to be? Why is it so hard to be this person? Someone answer this. Pride and ego. Absolutely. Someone else. Why is it so hard to be this? I'm reading it to you again. It says, instead of being motivated by selfish ambition or vanity, you should in humility be moved to treat one another as more important than yourself. The question is simple is why this makes it hard. I'll tell you why it makes it so hard. Because there's nothing natural about that. That's why it makes it so hard. I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead and answer. Absolutely. Our natural tendency is to, well, I'll get to it in a moment, to one-up other people, not necessarily think that they're better than ourselves. There's nothing natural about this sentence. So I got a new version. I know I'm just kidding, but a new version of the Bible called Natural Man Version. So I rewrote it, but taking it out the way we would say it or way people live today. Do everything from selfish ambition. Have a desire to boast, be proudful towards one another. Always consider yourself better than others. That's a new man version. There's no such thing, by the way. Our default is what? Our default is what Nick said. Our default towards treating people is not, our natural inclination is not to think more highly of someone other than ourselves. Our natural inclination is to lift ourselves up and find some way to put someone else down. Our natural, this is just the way we are. We don't naturally do this. It's not natural. It's not normal. Which leads me to something. Because none of us by default, I'd say, our default is not humility. That's not how we are. Most of us do not think everyone is better than ourselves. No, most of the time we meet someone, we have to try to get one up on them, or if they say something to us, which we've all been around someone, we start talking to someone and they always have to sound better than what they really are. How many understand what I mean? You start talking to them, you tell them something and they have to outdo what you just said. That's how people normally are, often, not always. But Jesus says this, or I say Jesus, the Philippians, Paul says this. In verse 5, it says, having this mind among yourself, which was also in Christ Jesus, And this is very, very hard. Being civil is not easy. Having this mind is not easy, but hear me out. It's nearly impossible to be this person, but here's the key. In verse 5, it says, having this mind among yourselves, which is in Christ Jesus. Standard version says it like this: adopt the same attitude as that of Jesus Christ. The contemporary version says, and think the same way that Christ Jesus thought. The good news says the attitude you should have as a believer is one that Christ had. The Holman Christian Bible says, make your attitude the same attitude that Jesus Christ had. And where does this mind come from? Well, this mind comes from the heart of God. You can't have the mind of Christ unless you got the heart of Christ. But it is nothing natural. It is supernatural. And that's what I want us to see. From the very beginning, when we read those verses, let's just start where it's at. We're talking about a supernatural experience. Because there's nothing natural about doing what Paul says. It is supernatural. And the supernatural comes from the life of Christ. It says, have the same mind that Christ has. And the only way we can have the same mind Christ has is through a relationship with Christ. We have to be connected to Christ. If we are not connected to Christ, you're not going to have the same attitude. So let's be honest. So if we're not anything like that verse, it probably tells you and I that we're not that connected sometimes to him. Because how you live and how you demonstrate, how you treat others, and how just be who you are tells you everything about where you're at in Christ. And no one's saying amen. It comes from relationship. And the relationship with Christ is lived out. And we have to be connected to him. We have to be living in his presence. And his presence needs to be in our life. And it is demonstrated by the life that we live. I have these headphones. This is my second pair. I think I've lost 2 pairs already. I leave stuff behind all the time. My wife says, you can't leave these, they're on your head. If you leave these behind, I left my head behind. And so, but the first pair broke, I take them back, and these I was getting ready to take back, and my wife goes, well, did you sink them? I said, no. She said, why? Why didn't you? I said, I thought I just put them on. And they worked. She says, no. Then she said some nice words. How smart I am. And I didn't, honestly, I knew it, but I forgot it. I'm being honest. I'm not that bad, but I forgot it at the moment, okay? But I forgot it for like days. But anyway, I forgot to sink it. I wasn't even thinking about sinking it. How many know what sinking is? And once I synced it, they worked and I can hear perfectly. And sometimes people can't hear from God at all. Sorry, Tim. It just came off my big ear. How could it come off my big ear? Okay, I think it worked. Sometimes people can't hear from God, and I would say to them, you need to get in sync. You're not in sync, it's obvious. If you're in sync, you have the same attitude Christ has. I mean, probably you're connected to him pretty good. When you don't have it, it's probably not that in sync. That's why sometimes people are so selfish, so on edge, so quick to yell, so quick to go off, so quick to disrespect somebody. Where does that come from? And I'm not talking about unsaved, I'm talking about Christians. So where did that come from? That attitude, trust me, it didn't come from God. It's not, that's natural. You're called to live a supernatural life. Good preaching, teaching. Okay. Let's go on. Let's go on to where we left off a week ago. It's talking about being civil. And I said civility is all about respect, regardless if they agree with you or they don't agree with you, whether they like you or they don't like you. Civility is not easy, especially if you're not saved and you don't have the power of God changing us. Hopefully when you get saved, one of the first things that people ought to see is how you treat other people. Immediately, you're treating people different. How many know that's how it should be? And so being this. So the effect of it, people don't understand, like me working in the rent-a-car agency, or you working at your work, the atmosphere and the environment at work is so important. You know, I'll tell you more about it in a couple of weeks, but it's amazing how it affects you. Listen to some of these things. These are some of the consequences. When the attitude at work, number one, let's start with the obvious one. That is 90% of people who go to work, 90% of Americans work on a job. That doesn't mean they don't like the job, but they feel totally unfulfilled at their job. In a large percentage of those, the environment at work is not a very, very good environment because of uncivility, incivility, call it what you want, because there's a lack of respect. It's like this becomes the norm environment, which creates so many problems in people's lives. Listen to this. When that's the norm, people are disrespectful. You see people gossip. You see rude behavior. Actually, it's kind of accepted to be tolerated. But in an environment like that, there's always a higher turnover rate. How do you like that word? Turnover rate of employees, sick days, poor attitudes, and productivity goes way down. Two different people said two different statistics, but one I found financially, the workforce. They estimate in America we are losing over $300 billion because of the lack of civility at work. Because when you are in an environment where people are rude, crude, and mean, and have no respect, your performance goes way down. $300 billion, that's a lot of money. When an atmosphere where people are allowed to be belittled and put down, or disrespected on the workplace, they find it harder to concentrate, harder to focus on their job. Research has found that we literally remember less when we are in a toxic environment, 20% less. If you're in this environment, this is going on, this bad environment at work, it's real stressful. They say you will, listen to this, you will remember 20% less. You get in a stressful situation, you ever find yourself, you can't remember things? There's a reason. They say in that environment, your brain doesn't work like it should work. 20% less in memory, 30% less being creative. And you don't even have to be involved in it directly. If you just watch fights go on at work, you watch disrespect go on at work, you see this, especially if it's a conflict, more real conflict, saying things really disrespectful. You watch that, it affects you. We think, oh, I can just watch it and it's not going to affect me. We are social creatures and it affects us. The moment we see it, it stays with us. And believe it or not, I don't understand this, but it's true. Unless you process it right, your productivity goes down just by watching it. Isn't that crazy? I find this pretty interesting. Because you and I are people, we're not robots. And like I said 2 weeks ago, whatever happens at work, it don't just stay at work, because we are human beings, we are social creatures. What those people do or don't do, or they do or don't do to us, it affects us. We don't just, okay, I'm going to leave work now, I'm going to leave everything back behind at work. No, we take that where? We take it home with us. That conflict, maybe some unresolved issue, you bring it home. And while you're at home in your marriage or your relationship with your kids, other relationships, unless you really understand what's going on, and deal with it properly, it's going to affect everyone in the home. And the truth is, it's just how we are, I think, sometimes. We take out the people that love us the most, sometimes we treat the worst. Because we take out on them, which happen at work. We come home, and I mentioned to you, I don't have the statistic right here. I didn't pull it up, but parents are at work. Like one man said, we got to go back to learn how to take care of those who take care of us. At work, parents work in a stressful environment. They come home, the boss takes it out on them, and the parents take it out on the kids, and the kids take it out on other kids, called bullying. There's a direct relation between a parent's difficulty at work, the environment being toxic, parent come home, unless she works through it properly, she comes home, takes it out on children. Children go to school and they take it out on other kids, and you end up having kids bullying other kids because it's happening. Starts with what happened. I tell you, it starts at work. The environment at work. It's a terrible environment. There's a lot more studies coming out about this. Big corporations. I'll share one in a couple weeks where a guy took over a corporation. It was rated the worst and one of the worst in America. And he turned the whole thing around. Productivity went up. In fact, when he got through, it was ranked as one of the best places in America to go to work for. And I'll tell you what he ended up doing to make it better. But the point I'm making is these relationships, it affects us. It's contagious. It touches our husband. It touches our wife. It touches our kids. It touches our cats and dogs. Depression is soaring. Research tells us the depression rate is 4 times that of what it was 1 generation ago and 10 times what it was 2 generations ago. So you wonder what's going on. Well, all these relationships, they're affecting us. They're having an impact on us. Cell phone, all those things, they're affecting us. We act like it doesn't affect it. It affects us. So this brings me to 5, slide number 5. It's just basically what we're missing. And what we're missing is, number 5. You can find the slide. It just says what we're missing. Keep going. There it is. We're missing the impact that you and I have on each other's lives. That's what we're missing. We don't understand or realize how much we impact each other. The lack of civility. Most of us here know how to be civil. Most of us know how to be kind. I may be a shocker to some folks, but yes, you know how to be kind. You know how to be considerate. And just because we know something doesn't always mean that we're going to practice it. So I have one quick question, someone can throw in something. Why is it we know we're supposed to treat someone with respect? We know we ought to be considerate. We know we ought to be kind. We know we ought to be patient. Then why aren't we so? It's an obvious answer. Someone would throw out an answer. Why aren't we? Perfect. It takes less. It's easy to be a jerk. It takes a lot more effort to be kind, considerate, and patient. It's easy just someone cuts you off or someone says something. It's easy just to say something really quick without thinking or forethought. Boom, just act a certain way. It's easy because it's a lot easier. There's nothing about it. It takes a lot less effort. We live in it basically is a me-centered society. Everything is a me-centric society, and everything is about us, ourselves, and that includes, no matter what it is, generally our emotions, our mind is on ourselves, and we think more about ourselves. The obvious outflow of that is what? The more we think of ourselves, the less we're going to be thinking of others. And so our actions, we're not thinking about how you're going to react to what I do. One simple example, maybe not the best. People come late. It's not the best example. People are always late. Some people are always late because they know nothing's depending on them. That's acceptable. Like some of you are late to church, but you know that we're going to have church. Church is going to start whether you get here on time. So to you on that issue, you know it's not going to change nothing. And if you had to be here on time, you would. But most of the time, for most people, being late, it's not because of some circumstance happened beyond their control. A lot of times people choose to be late because they simply what? Choose. Right? So as an example, they choose to be late. Some of you, when Jesus comes, you can say, give me 5 more minutes. But anyway, you choose to be late, and we don't think about how the person responds to us being late. So as an example, someone's getting ready to do something. I'll give you an example here at church. Maybe we're going to have practice, and you're running late. All you're thinking about is running late. And you come in and you say something like, I'm so sorry I'm late. The truth is you're not sorry, else you wouldn't have been late. That's just the truth. But you say, to get yourself off the hook, I'm so sorry. No, you're not. The truth is you're not so sorry because all you're thinking about is yourself. Because if you're thinking about us, you'd realize they're waiting on me. If they're waiting on me, then that means I need to be there, so they're not waiting on me. They're not stopping everything because I'm not there yet. A person that does that is thinking about the other person. The other person who's not thinking about the others, they come in, I'm sorry, I'm late, you guys. I'm like 15 minutes late. Praise God. Let's sing. Well, why are you late? Well, I'm sorry. And here's what's crazy. People get upset, and then you get upset because they get upset. Yeah, I'm mad you're upset. Well, you shouldn't be mad because I'm kind of late. Well, I am. Well, you need to deal with it right. Well, why don't you be here on time, and I will. You know what I mean? But we're not thinking about how you're going to react to what I've done. That right there is being uncivil. It's showing somebody, even though you may not say this, and even though I don't think people mean this, to them it's saying, I don't respect you. Even though, honestly, you don't mean it that way. You don't go, I'm going to be late and I'm going to show them I disrespect all of them. They like me now. That's not what you do. But every one of us has been hurt by someone that person didn't know they really disrespected us. Isn't that true? You say, you really disrespected me. They don't even know they disrespected you. Why? Because they ain't thinking about you. That's where we're at today. People are not thinking about others. They're thinking about themselves, their agenda, their beliefs, and it just goes on and on. And so, let me move to this. I really want to get through a few things here. So, people can become less courteous, less considerate. And if we're not careful, especially they say in the workplace, but I would throw this out in church life, is that if that becomes how we begin to live, that becomes the natural flow of the world that we created around us. Sometimes people create a world that's very inconsiderate, and then they complain that the world is inconsiderate. The world, you created that world. And so you have to be careful, because the reality is, being uncivil or incivil, it does matter how you treat. And we have to make, believers, we have to make a choice, a purposeful choice to say, you know what, I am not going to live a life that reflects being uncivil or unkind, inconsiderate, especially if I name the name of Christ. You know what, I'm going to choose to be different at work. I'm not going to be like everyone else. I'm not going to do it. It's easy just to get into the flow of being like everyone else, and that becomes normal. And they're saying today that normal needs to change bad, because what is accepted today 40 years ago was never accepted. And what's become normal in our society is absolutely terrible. People accept people being disrespectful. In fact, sometimes people will push someone out. Hey, tell them off. Tell them something. Dude, it's like, did everyone grow up in the ghetto or what? Come on. Let's go to the scripture, Philippians 2:3. And it simply says, do nothing out of selfish ambition again or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourself. Each one of you should not only look out your own interests, but also the interests of others. Your attitude should be the same of Jesus Christ. And all of us have a choice to make. And that choice is going to be, we are either going to engage, hopefully the right way, engage the people around us. They say one of the reasons why depression is going through the roof is because human beings are choosing just to ignore each other. Literally, just ignore one another. They can be right there. They won't even talk to them. Someone's got to own some of this. You know, we're all in this thing together. So we choose to engage people. We choose to be social, not insocial. You and I are hardwired by God as social creatures. I'll give you an example. The number one thing, and I'll share it again in 2 weeks, that people wanted. This is a bunch of people being questioned. More than encouraged, more than anything else, I find crazy, not crazy, but it makes sense, especially for a guy, is someone to respect them. And for a man especially, a man can handle a lot of things, but a man does not like to be disrespected. Right? Some men will kill another man just because they disrespected him. Choosing to respect others is a choice. We are hardwired, I said, to be social. This is connecting with other people. Listen to this. So let me give you an example. If you see someone, let's say in the hall there, right there, maybe like Esteban's at, and Esteban looks at me, I look at, maybe I come walking in, or when I'm walking out, Esteban's looking at me, trying to get my attention, smiling, or I even see him. I see him look at me, he smiles. My brain immediately, my brain says connect. But if I do this, if I look at him, he smiles and I ignore him, I walk out, my brain says as I'm walking, connect with him, say hi to him, acknowledge him. And when you do, you get a good feeling. That good feeling God put there, it's a chemical. It's one of the chemicals is oxytocin. It's called the chemical of trust. It was put there so you would actually engage in this activity more often. Where you stop, you draw, you talk, and stop to talk to someone or say hi. And I mentioned to you before, saying hi, greeting people, looking them in the eye, saying something. But we're in society now, it's like everyone's in their own world. And they put headphones on, and what they're saying to the world is, don't bother me, I'm in my own universe, leave me alone. Right? So you walk by someone, and they're trying to connect with you, and you ignore them and walk by, especially if they're trying to connect you. It's not a good thing. It's not a healthy thing at all. Some practical ways we can be civil. Patient with others. Kind, thoughtful. You know what thoughtful means? Thoughtful. It basically means you have a lot of thoughts about that person. You're thinking about that person. The opposite would be thoughtless. In other words, I have no thoughts about you in my head. None. Were you thinking about me? No. Not at all. Not one thought. Go thoughtless. Thoughtful is I'm thinking about you ahead of time. Thoughtful. Thinking thoughts about you are in my brain ahead of time. Give others the benefit of the doubt. Say please. I know these are real practical. Say please, say thank you. Give others your time, regardless if they respond in kind. Luke 6:35. Jesus says, but love your enemies, do good and lend, hoping nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you'll be sons of the Most High, for he is kind to the unthankful and the evil. Therefore be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. Notice what he says, do good. He didn't say think good, he said do good. Do good. Another version says, if you greet only your friends, what's so great about that? Everyone does it. If you love only the people that love you, even tax collectors do the same thing, Matthew 5:46. We must choose. It's a choice that we choose to engage. We choose to respond a certain way, but it is a choice. You're not going to naturally just want to be kind and considerate and thoughtful. You have to say, you know what? I want to have the same attitude Christ had. And the attitude Christ had what? He laid down his life. He gave up all his rights to be a servant. You think about it. He humbled himself. One man said the way we get rid of our self-exaltation, just imagine and remember the humiliation of Christ. What Christ did. And surely what Christ did pales in comparison to what you've been asked to do. Asking you just to be nice. Do I have to be nice to them? Well, yeah, actually. In fact, it'd probably do you some good to be nice. Kind. Well, I don't want to. Well, can you grow up? It's time to grow up, maybe. We choose. We're almost done. Read this. I wrote down a few things there was, don't get mad at me, be civil. Well, anyway, it was a couple of things. One was, I got a car accident. One was a car accident, one was the windshield, one was the MRI, that's what it was. They don't read something, it would be done. It all makes sense. So last week, I flew to San Jose. Saturday, I got in a car accident on the way to the airport. I had a truck, and I got that big iron bumper up front. So when the passenger goes, isn't that like an animal guard? And I said, yeah. He said, are there a lot of loose animals around here? I said, no. He said, why would you have that in front? I said, protect me. He said, from what? I said, from myself. Really? So I'm on eucalyptus, getting ready to get on the freeway. A lady's in her car, and she's pulling out, and a car comes, and she slams on her brake, and I rear end her. It was a Lexus 203 or 204 Lexus, mint condition, beautiful car. But I jacked up that rear end, man. I rearranged the rear end. And not bad. I mean, my truck, you can't even tell I got in an accident. But that thing was like, I'm glad I had the cattle guard. But anyway, so I hit it, and I'm rushing because I'm going to the airport, but I'm really early, so it's fine. So I get out of the car, and just telling you. So I get out of the car, the man gets out of his car, he wasn't driving, his wife was driving, he gets out of the car and he swears. And the reason why I'm saying this is because it's situations like this that things escalate. Like that, and they don't have to. He gets out, and he looks at me, and he swears. And he gets out, and he looks at me, and he swears. I just said to him, sir, I'm really, really sorry. And I meant it. You know what? I think people know when you're sincere, or you're just being a phony. I said, I'm really, really sorry, man. I said, there's no question about it. It's my fault. You pulled out. You guys stopped. She goes, yeah, but. I said, no, I know, but nothing. I hit you. I said, I get it. I said, I'm in a rush. I can't stay. We could take a picture of my driver's license, take a picture of my insurance card, and I could go to the airport, flying out. I never raised my voice. And after the guy swore at me, and after I said that, he looked at me and goes, how's your day? He smiled. No problem at all. Took a picture, went on my way, filed the claim, insurance come to call, not a problem at all. And you know what? He was black. I'm white. I mean, things like this happen. He gets out and swears at him. So he gets out and he swears. I swear back at him. And you pulled out. Oh, it was your fault. You stopped suddenly and I hit you. That's what people do. And that's how they get shot. For nothing. There's no reason. So that's one example. Another one was, I'm driving down the freeway and on Van Buren, and a rock hits my windshield and it shatters a part of it. As I'm driving by myself, Mr. Magoo driving. Fortunately, I'm not out of it. Just my nerves don't work very good, so it's probably better. So I'm driving, and when he hit my windshield, I didn't do nothing. I could have went this way, and I could hit the oncoming cars, but there was no cars, and plus it didn't move me. It just. I thought, what was that? I looked, my windshield, bam. So I said, wow. So I drive down, I said, Mom, what should I do? The guys are working there, the construction guys are working there. So I drive way down, I said, you know what, I should go back and talk to them. So I drive down, go all the way back out. You can't get to them. They've got it all blocked off. You can't get to where they're working. So I had to drive all the way through. Then driver, it says, do not drive. I drove all the way through. It says, do not drive. I drove all the way up to them. And I get out of the car, and I go to the guys working. They're inside. They got a crane inside or a pick thing breaking up the rock. A big machine, a bunch of big machinery there. I get out. I walk up to them, and I said, I wave him down. And the guy there looks at me. He comes over. He says, can I help you? I said, yeah. I said, I was driving down the road, and then I heard this bang, and then my windshield's all cracked. And he said, man? I said, yeah. I said, I think it was you guys. He said, well, where were you? I said, I was just driving. I said, it didn't happen until I went right by you, so I think there's a connection, But I was nice to him. I just said, I don't know. He said, well, let me talk to my boss. Hold on here, let me talk to my boss. He calls his boss. His boss comes over, and first the kid comes over, now the kid comes over, looks at it, and he goes, all right, he walks over and looks at my truck. My truck's got that big thing, the big crash, right? I said, a rock hit me. So the guy comes walking up, he goes, oh, no, we didn't do that. I said, I'm going to say, goober, I didn't say you did that. I said, the windshield. Well, I was about to say, man, a little rock wouldn't do that. I thought, man, you're a sharp cookie. You work for the NASA program, you were a space program? I didn't say nothing. I was nice. I just listened to him. I said, no. I said, no, I'm not saying you did that. All I said was you grabbed my windshield. I think you grabbed my windshild. He goes, well, let me call my boss. So he calls his boss. Then he comes over, and the boss comes over and says, what happened? So I take him. Well, let me look at it. So they do their whole thing. And I'm just listening, let them talk. Well, let me call my boss. And I'm thinking, just a windshield, So he gives me all his information. He said, you got to go talk to the boss of the boss, the superintendent of the project. I go, all right. I said, thank you guys for the numbers and everything. Appreciate it. So I took off. I go to the office, and I find the office, find the guy, he's an older gentleman. I don't know, 70 or 80, I don't know, he looked kind of old, really stressed guy behind the desk, like really stressed. So I walk in there, I said, excuse me, he said, can I help you? I said, yeah. I said, I was driving down the road, and I explained the whole thing to him. I said, I think he cracked my windshield. You got insurance? I said, I don't think I have insurance on this. I was liability only. He said, did you call your insurance? I said, no. He said, call your insurance. What do you mean to do? I said, I just thought, I don't know. He said, well, call your insurance. I go, all right, I'll call my insurance. So I called my insurance. Nothing happened. I came back, seen him, walk in there. And I see him, the same guy. He says, yes. And I said, well, I called my insurance. I said, they don't cover it. And he goes, and? And I go, well, I'm just telling you, I hope you could help me. I don't have insurance on it. He said, put in your phone number and your name. I'll get back to you. 3 weeks later, he called me and said, I got a check here for you. Come pick it up, pay for the windshield. The point I'm making, at any moment, things can spark. When he said, and? I could say, oh, you got attitude, huh? And? Huh? I don't like how you said it, boy, and. I can do and back to you, and you. But you, half dead man yourself, huh? Oh, stressed out old guy. Huh? Get ready to have a heart attack? But the point I'm making is just being half civil, half kind. No big deal. I go get an MRI, and the lady says, sorry, sir, I'd make some changes to get there. I get there because we're 45 to an hour behind. Here's the people who go, oh, well, you should have told me. You should have called me. I should have known. I should have left this time. Just, come on, drama. I go, all right. 45 minutes an hour? She goes, yeah. I said, Starbucks down there, I think. She goes, yeah, I think there is. I said, you guys want to go to Starbucks? And she looked at me and goes, I love it. Love your attitude. She says, you're so nice. She goes, that's so good. I love your attitude. She goes, I wish everyone was like that. She goes, no, we don't want nothing, sir, but thank you. Thank you. I went down and got me a juice. 45 minutes, studied some for my sermon. No big deal. But all I'm saying is a lot of times things happen and people just take it to the next level because I don't know, and crazy, they got their bumper sticker that says, I love Jesus. Yeah, but you haven't talked to him in a long time. Yeah, so you're not much connected to him because the way you act, the way you talk, you have no patience whatsoever. The smallest thing can set you off. So, go to the last slide. Let's look at this quickly. The benefits. It's not the last scripture. The last scripture is Matthew. It's one before Matthew 10:39. Yeah, look at this. This is called the happiness advantage. This is the benefits of you just having a good attitude on your job. Choosing to be civil, just a good attitude. That's all the benefits right there. But listen to this. Keep that up. Your brain in this atmosphere, the benefits of having a good attitude. Your brain at positive is 31% more productive than if you're negative. They say if you're at work and you have a positive environment and you got a positive attitude, you get more work done than all mad at the world. Well, I don't think no one does it like that, but anyway. You say, Pastor, if you're like that, you need to go to the doctor. The second benefit, that's that, but here's the second benefit. Your intelligence rises in a positive environment. When your attitude is good, your intelligence actually rises. Your creativity, instead of going down, it rises. Your personal energy level is lifted. And in every business, the business that you're in, it actually gets better if that's the attitude, if that's the environment. Sales in that environment are 37% better. Isn't that amazing? Doctors, listen to this one. Doctors are 19% faster and more accurate in their correct diagnosis when they have a positive attitude instead of a negative or a neutral or a stressed out attitude. Just having that attitude changes everything. So here's our verse, and I close, Matthew 10:39. If you cling to your life, you're going to lose it. But if you give up your life for me, you'll find it. Those who try to gain their own life will lose it, but those who, for my sake, lose their life for my sake will gain it. I'm talking about being connected to Christ changes everything, because Christ changes everything. Can you say amen? Let's bow our heads tonight. Because of the time, I'm just very quickly just going to, you're here and you're a Christian and say, you know, Pastor, I need to check myself. And I would just challenge you to look at your life with Christ. The Bible says, have the same attitude Christ had. You can't have the mind of Christ unless you have the heart of Christ. And you can't have the heart of Christ unless you're connected to Christ. So if you're not talking to him much, maybe you need to get back in sync. You're a Christian here tonight, just very quickly say, you know, God, you're talking to me about something. Just raise your hand, put it right back down. All these hands, yes, yes, I see all these hands. Yes, 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 yes. I'll let you come and we're going to come and pray just for a moment. But maybe you're here tonight, maybe you're not even right with God, you're not connected to Christ. And tonight you say, you know what, I really want to give my life to Jesus, Pastor. Here's my hand tonight, if that's you. I see that hand. Just lift it up and just put it right back down. I want to give my life to Christ tonight. Okay, let's all stand tonight. I want someone to pray with my sister. Raise your hand. Someone's going to pray with you. Come and find a place to pray. Someone to just pray with her. Let's all stand, many hands raised. Just come and find a place to pray at the altar. Talk to God. Ask the Lord Jesus Christ to give you strength and power. Hallelujah.